Hello and welcome to a brand new installment of Nintendo News Report for Wednesday, January 18th, 2016. I am your host, Alexander Kalafi, today joined by all three of my usual co-hosts to talk about a pair of Nintendo presentations. I'm Alex Kalafi, joined by one Donald Terrio. Hello, Donald.
My Switch is half paid off. I think I might actually be able to make this work.
Attaboy. Does that include the $3,000 you will need to spend on accessories?
I will deal with those. I will deal with those after the other big expenditure I have in March.
Have you put aside 1,900 Canadian dollars for the new Bomberman yet?
No, hey, we saw it today. GameStop has dropped their price to $50, so that might get to a same price by the end of the week.
Listen, we got to pay respect to Bomberman's 33rd anniversary game. Yeah. Okay. We're also joined by Alaska's Zach Miller. Hello, Zach Miller from Alaska.
Hello, Alex. I miss Iwata.
Yeah, I just thought about Iwata today. I was just out and about doing my own thing, and I thought, like, hey, I like this new guy a lot, but you know, it would be really cool if someone did like a nice like biopic of Satoru Iwata's life, like done respectfully.
I would watch that.
And like with interviews, like the whoever makes this movie would actually get the correct information on Nintendo, so we could see what Iwata's actual last days looked like and what goes through the head of someone from Nintendo, a company that prides itself in being squeaky clean. I just had ideas about an Iwata biopic today. That's beside the point. Third person is Nintendo World Report's very own special guest Neal Ronahan. Hello, I'm just kidding.
Okay.
Just kidding.
Hi. Stay tuned to the website for more on this game.
Hell yeah.
It's Dragon Quest VIII.
Are you allowed to say that the first 30 minutes are Dragon Quest VIII yet?
I mean, as someone who's never played Dragon Quest VIII before, this game's real good.
Yeah.
Definitely, like I'm probably about like 10 hours in. I haven't really found any of the technical issues that I've heard rumors of. I've heard that they kind of show up later in the game, maybe. I have noticed some crappy load times, but like that's a real good game.
Yeah.
I've never played it before, and it feels way more modern, especially in comparison to Dragon Quest VII.
Mm-hmm.
Which, I mean, that was a full remake on 3DS, whereas this is kind of like more of an up or a down port almost. Like it's like a refined version, a director's cut almost. Of the PlayStation 2 version, but that like I'm kind of mad at myself for having never played that PlayStation 2 version of Dragon Quest VIII, because this game seems real special.
Yeah.
That's good. Speaking of RPGs, there was a Fire Emblem Nintendo Direct tonight that showcased not one, not two, but 4 Fire Emblem titles. And the reason why I knew it would be more than 2, but I was still surprised that it was 4 games, was on that splash screen, on that the screen that says, that's like before a Nintendo Direct, like right before the stream goes live, where it says like, hey, it's going to be this long, this is what we're going to talk about. It said multiple Fire Emblem games, which told me that there would be at least 3. I'm still a little surprised there's 4, but I knew there would be at least 3. Now, I'm posing the question to you all. I posed this question to Donald before the show. Is Fire Emblem now fully 100% an A-tier Nintendo franchise, or has it been that for a while?
I think it was with Fates. I think Fates was the step forward with it.
When you saw that Fates did, I think when you saw Fates opening weekend sales, either in Japan where it did $500,000 there, or in the US where it did 300,000 opening weekend, that is an A-level franchise for Nintendo at this point.
Yeah. And it's very interesting to think about Fire Emblem as an A-level franchise, because it was one of the most niche Nintendo franchises that they were bringing over like 10 years ago.
I mean, the first one only came over because of Marth and Roy and Melee. Right. And Marth and Roy, like, I believe the intention was to cut them from Melee in the first place, because like Americans and Europeans would have no idea who they were yet.
Wow.
Yeah.
because of that action of Marth and Roy being in Melee, it gave Nintendo of America and Europe I guess the courage to release the Fire Emblem games on Game Boy Advance. And then we haven't gotten every single one. Then I think there was a DS game that didn't come over.
Yep.
Yeah, because Shadow Dragon came over, but then the second DS game did not. And we've gotten everything since, and
Awakening.
I think
Awakening was going to be the swan song. Yeah, it was going to be the swan song for the whole series, and then it went and sold 2 million copies, and suddenly, hey, we can do something with this.
Yeah, because I noticed. I remember. I mean, a lot of people talk about Advance Wars when they talk about Fire Emblem, and I'm sorry we're going off on an Advance Wars tangent because we should all talk about Advance Wars more often. But it's really surprising to see Fire Emblem and Advance Wars kind of go in completely different directions. Whereas Fire Emblem's kind of been iterating on the same kind of thing with they've been adding more story and these branching paths and stuff like that. It's still more or less the same exact game that it was 10, 15, 20, 25 years ago. Whereas Advance Wars, part of the reason why we haven't seen one in a while is I dug up an interview, I think it was from when Days of Ruin, the last Advance Wars game, that team at Intelligent System was just kind of we don't know what to do, we're just making the same game over and over again. And it's weird that Fire Emblem has been able to succeed at kind of being the same thing, just with a new story, whereas Advance Wars couldn't do that, and they basically killed the series because they couldn't think of anything else to do.
Right. You're absolutely right. I was especially what you're saying about Fire Emblem being the same forever, because I watched a little bit of a long play of the very first Fire Emblem game on NES the other week, and it's surprising to see that everything that you could very easily go back to the original Fire Emblem games, and even though they might be hard and they might be different and they might be less forgiving, the Fire Emblem games have changed very little. It's just that they've gotten nicer looking and the story has gone in line with more modern games. But the games have not changed at all, which is fine, because I think it's one of the most rock-solid premises for any of Nintendo's video games.
And you can actually play the first Fire Emblem now. Shadow Dragon's out on all the territories on Virtual Console. So if you want to see that, and you're going to be able to do the second Fire Emblem game in about 4 months.
Right. So let's talk about Fire Emblem Echoes. But before that, I just wanted to point something out that, especially with Fire Emblem being a super niche franchise, and then everything turned by Awakening, in 10 years, we have gone to not being sure if one Fire Emblem game will ever come out, to having, I think I counted 9 different Fire Emblem releases, or Fire Emblem tangential releases, in the span of 2 years, because we got Fire Emblem Echoes, we have Fire Emblem Fates, 3 versions. That brings us up to 4 games. We have Tokyo Mirage Sessions. We have 2 versions of Fire Emblem Warriors. We have 2 versions of Fire Emblem on mobile, counting Android and iOS.
That's just one. That's just one.
I mean, but at the same time, it's and then we got the new Switch game coming out next year. Yeah. So even by the loosest of definitions, 10 games, by slightly more tight definitions, 7 games, but that's still a fuck ton in a 2-year span.
So, is anybody familiar with what Fire Emblem Gaiden was?
No, but it sounds like a fan favorite game that is also arguably the weirdest game in the Fire Emblem.
Yeah, because I mean, I guess my Fire Emblem Ancient History isn't too good.
That's coming out May 18th in
May 19th in North America. I think it's out in Europe the same day, and it's out in Japan on 4/20.
April 20th, which is also 4/20 is Fire Emblem's birthday.
Aw, Fire Emblem, Hitler, and pot.
Well, no, because there were so many. It's all very closely related things. I was very curious because there's 3 games coming out this year that we know of at this point, and I'm okay, is it Fire Emblem's 30th anniversary or something? But Fire Emblem came out in 1990, which means this is Fire Emblem's 27th anniversary, and Metroid's 30th anniversary was last year, and we got jack shit for Metroid's 30th.
We got Metroid Prime Federation Force, a damn fine game. Some would say the 4th best game of 2016.
And some would say you're underrating it at number 4.
I think
we'll talk about that in the future.
That's a preview for next week's show.
But so Fire Emblem Echoes has all this stuff where there's dungeon exploration. which seems really neat. And I
It
feel
looks
like that's something that I want in a post-Fates world.
It looks like SMT4. Fire Emblem Echoes, Shadows of Valencia. Yeah, that's what were you saying, Don?
Yeah, and another thing that it actually got carried over to Fates from Fire Emblem Gaiden, which this is a reimagining of, is there's no such thing as weapon durability in this game. The weapons will stay no matter what.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. It's the story seems like it's the same story but reimagined for the new Fire Emblem standard. It seems like we know for a fact there's going to be a 2-pack amiibo featuring the 2 protagonists, which is going to be May 19th, one of each gender. Can I just say I love the fact that we're going back to one version for Fire Emblem, because I'm glad that they tried it for Fates, but I think the reason why Fates came out as flawed as it did, at least by me and Neal's estimation, is the fact that I felt that game was so spread thin across
There
the
was
3
too much. Yeah, that's how I felt about it. I mean, there are clearly people out there that really want to play 3 Fire Emblem games all right in a row. I found out with Fire Emblem Fates, I'm not one of those people, and that's okay. Like whenever I feel like I want to play another Fire Emblem game, I'll probably get Fire Emblem Echoes, or I could play Conquest. Who knows?
Conquest is a good video game. It was almost in my top 10 until I remembered that I didn't put Rhythm Heaven Mega Mix on my list. So then I swapped out my number 8. So Conquest is a very fair number 12, but I would say it's probably the best game of those 3. I'm excited for this video game. It's coming out in May, which means it's only coming out in just a few months. And I think it's great that they're starting to localize the Fire Emblem games super close together now.
It's about 2 switches from now. I guess are we going to use that? Are we going to use the distance to Switch launch as a way of calculating time?
That's like 44 days, I think. So yeah, there you go. Yeah, 2-pack amiibo, reimagining the story. It's got weird dungeon crawling shit. It's also like
fully voiced.
And
the characters have feet.
The characters have feet.
That's good.
Yeah, so that's cool. I think that's all we can say about Echoes for now, because they showed us very little of that game, and they also showed us untranslated cutscenes, at least voice-wise.
Yeah.
So they're not ready to fully show us that game yet. Yeah.
Well, they better be ready to show it soon, because, like you said, it comes out in May. But I just find it amusing they got Yuri Lowenthal to do this direct.
Yeah.
Oh, is that who that was?
Yep.
Oh.
They showed it in the opening.
Okay.
That's Crom's
cool.
voice actor, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, he was Rickon in Awakening.
Okay.
You probably know him better as Yosuke from Persona 4.
Yeah.
So Persona Q.
Was he? He wasn't.
He's a pretty notable voice actor.
Rickon. No. I'm saying who's he trying to be in the game?
I thought he was trying to be Bill Trennan.
Yeah, that's who I thought it was, and then I kind of realized I don't think it's him.
Yeah. Maybe he's just a voiceover who has the Fire Emblem style of speaking. Maybe he's the new protagonist.
He was Ben 10.
That's why. There you go.
Yeah. he was the prince in The Prince of Persia. He was Alucard in Castlevania. He was Matt Miller in Saints Row.
You know, I don't like Fire Emblem, but there's a Fire Emblem figure that I'm going to get when it comes out.
What, Tharja?
No, not. Maybe she's the one in the armor, purple armor.
Oh no, Tharja's the
Tharja's a mage. This is more of a flying character.
Tharja's the brown one from Awakening.
Yeah, no, it's not her. This girl's shapely and has bluish purple armor.
Yeah.
Yep, that's Camilla.
Okay.
From Fates.
Oh yeah. She's from Fates. I wifed her in Fire Emblem Fates, but only because she's the only reason why I did was because she's a dragon rider, and you need to have a kid who's also a dragon rider, so everything worked out there.
So Fire Emblem Warriors looks fun.
Yes, that's my next point, Neal. Thank you very much. Fire Emblem meets Koei Tecmo Games. Fire Emblem Warriors. It is going to be on the Switch this fall. It is also going to be new 3DS exclusive, which I am so happy about because the new Nintendo 3DS needs like one more game before we can justify making games for
So this will be it.
Yeah, this is that game.
And Neal can speak to how ass Hyrule Warriors Legends played on the original 3DS. So,
no, maybe... not really. Like I really liked Hyrule Warriors Legends.
But I mean, you playing it on the old 3DS, like you mentioned that in your review, that thing ran like chocolate covered ass.
Yeah. It wasn't that bad. Like let's put it this way. I think almost literally every other person on the planet that played that game on the old 3DS probably had more of an issue with it than I did.
Oh.
It runs poorly, but I was able to play it. I played the demo on the Japanese demo on my old Japanese 3DS, and it was playable. It just ran really choppy.
Huh.
Hashtag literally unplayable.
What a great fit.
It was playable.
What a great fit for Fire Emblem, though, right? Like,
yeah, and just think of all the DLC that game is going to have. Like, there's going to be lords crawling out the ears.
Well, I did love, I do love Hyrule Warriors in all of its Wii U and new 3DS glory. I don't think I care enough about the Fire Emblem characters to get as much as I do out of Hyrule Warriors as in Fire Emblem Warriors.
That was a problem. Well, it wasn't really a problem because that game was more of a Shin Megami Tensei game than anything else, but that was a little bit of a problem for me getting into TMS.
See, the thing with that is...
There were so many Fire Emblem characters that weren't from games I recognized, or they chose mildly obscure Fire Emblem characters from games I did play.
See, that was the thing that kind of worked for me for TMS, is that a lot of the characters that they chose were ones that I was familiar with. Which, I mean, that's just more like lucky happenstance, I guess, but like, everybody that showed up, I was like, oh yeah, I remember them.
Yeah, because they only pulled from Shadow Dragon and Awakening.
Yeah, which are two games that I played.
Oh,
did you beat Shadow Dragon?
No. I mean, I also played it like a decade ago.
Okay. Yeah, I want to play Shadow Dragon. Like, I looked at it, it's $10 on the eShop, which is actually a fine deal for that game.
Yeah, so it was really good. Myself. I just like I remember some characters from that, but if you were to ask me like what happened in that game, I'd be like, well, that was 2008. That was almost a decade ago.
Yeah, and
or 2009. I think that might have been 2009.
Yeah, I think it was 2009.
Yeah. Do all the Fire Emblem games, are they in one continuity?
Sort of. I think I might be the wrong person to answer that, but I think that there is because Marth is in Shadow Dragon, which is a remake of the first one.
Oh, okay.
And Marth is discussed as being a legendary character that everyone knows about in Awakening.
Gotcha.
I'm sure somebody could put together a Fire Emblem timeline. There's a Zelda timeline, but it's unless you really dive into optional content, it's not really necessary to enjoy the games.
Sure.
Yeah, because I think a lot there are some that are sequels to other ones, but I think for the most part they all stand alone. But I believe there are some references to like for example in Awakening where they call back to Marth, and Marth was in a previous game.
Gotcha.
Don Cooper.
I like how Klex Yoshi said, no, they aren't, except for when they were.
And Don says Fates takes place in a new world, which sounds like they do sometimes switch it up.
Fates takes place in the Super Smash Brothers universe.
Or does Super Smash Brothers take place in the Fire Emblem Fates universe?
No, who knows? But that's when you bring in the characters with Fire Emblem Amiibo and Fates, they refer to their Smash Brothers incarnations.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
TRBR says Fire Emblem Warriors equals Waifu Warriors, which is a very realistic prediction for that game.
That's what Hyrule Warriors kind of was.
No, that's exactly what I was going to say.
I mean, it's a Koei Tecmo game. Oh god, yeah, that and Fire Emblem? That might be too much.
Yeah.
Too much waifu.
Moving on. Fire Emblem is coming to the Nintendo Switch for the first time since Fire Emblem Ring Dawn on the Wii console in 2007. A new mainline game in the series is being developed for a Nintendo home system with the ability to play it on the go. It's scheduled to launch in 2018, which to me says late 2018, early 2019.
I don't know. They did just kind of drop a new a new Fire Emblem game coming out to 3DS in May. So
Yeah.
I don't think I'd be shocked if that game winds up being like more like May or June next year.
Yeah.
But I mean, until we see something about it, then this is all just hearsay and speculation.
I'm so
So
happy.
wait till E3.
Wait till E3.
Yeah.
I'm so happy this is not a port of Fire Emblem Fates, like some source code and the website suggests, because I don't want to go back to Fire Emblem Fates.
You ever notice with a lot of this stuff with rumors of like how like, oh, it's going to be Splatoon 1.5, it's going to be a remake of Fire Emblem Fates, that like they aren't?
Yeah.
Like maybe there are breadcrumbs being left to make people think that games are just remakes when they are actually new games.
I would say
Mario
Mario
Kart.
Kart is the exception to that. But
Right,
at the same time, most of us could have guessed that was going to be Mario Kart 8. But on the other hand, Mario Kart 8 looks like an HD version of Mario Kart 7 in a lot of ways, not counting the DLC, of course. So who knows? Maybe you're right.
But anyway.
I think it's cool that there's going to be a console Fire Emblem Switch game, though. That's
Yeah.
And hopefully the virtual console is robust enough that maybe we get those two console Fire Emblems on the Switch sometime.
They're both
before that.
very hard to find or very expensive.
Nothing gets me more happy than seeing eBay sellers weeping that are overcharging for games by like $200, which that happens with Fire Emblem, Path of Radiance, and Radiant Dawn.
We'll probably get them for 1 month at a time.
Wouldn't it be sick, though, if we got Fire Emblem Radiance and Radiant Dawn for a month?
Path of Radiance and Radiant Dawn.
I said that to
Like
just
a collection.
kind of both of them.
Like a
The
collection.
The Ike duology.
The
Right.
duology.
The Fire Emblem Fight for Your Friends series.
Right.
I flipped a copy. I got Radiant Dawn for like $15 and then flipped it for like 70.
Oh my God. You're part of the problem.
No,
Hey,
it's called I was a broke college student.
Hey, at least it was only 2 figures. If it was 3, I think we would have had to have words in March.
Yeah. Okay, that's all we can say about Fire Emblem Switch for now. We're excited about it. It's maybe coming in 2018. I hope it's coming in 2018. But I didn't see the minutes, but it seemed like at least half of the presentation, or maybe about half of the presentation, was devoted to Fire Emblem Heroes coming to smart devices.
It was basically Nintendo explaining a common mobile trope to the world.
Right.
That, like as they're describing it, I'm like, oh, that's Final Fantasy Brave Exvius and that Kingdom Hearts game, and pretty much like the majority of mobile games.
That's Star
Grand
Wars.
Blue Fantasy.
Grand Blue Fantasy, and then it also carries the same premise of that Star Wars and Marvel game. Well, at least like thematically, it carries the same premise, where it's like all these heroes and
Really good
villains
characters.
fighting each other.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
that's like the Final Fantasy Brave Exvius, which is a legit, really good game.
yeah.
I think actually made by DNA, which that's why when I saw them lay out this game, I like everything about it just reminded me of Final Fantasy Brave Exvius. So if you like Final Fantasy and want to get a head start on what Fire Emblem Heroes kind of like, I guess like character accumulation mechanic is, go check out that. Although like it's not the turn-based strategy. It's a Final Fantasy game. So that's different.
The release of this is slightly confusing because in Japan it's going to be coming out February.
They actually clarified this because during the presentation they said Google Play first, so Android, and then iOS later. But then I don't know. Tim Cook said, "Hold my beer," and now it's going to be iOS and Android same time, February 2nd.
I get the vibe from people that are more into the know of the world of Apple. It might have just been that when they made the video for the Direct, they might not have had the date for iOS locked in, because I think like Apple cert takes longer or something like that. So it might have just only been confirmed after they already finished the video.
Right. Okay. That's fair.
But yeah, that's like 2 weeks away. That's
right.
I'm pretty stoked. Like that game looks fun.
Yeah, it's a free-to-play Fire Emblem game, but it looks like a legitimate Fire Emblem game.
Yeah.
It has a new story, a new setup, and the maps seem like they're going to be one screen, which is a little, I don't know, I guess.
Well, I mean, if you got to confine it to a mobile phone screen, it makes sense to go with like the 8x6 map. I just love that Anna is running this because of course she would.
Yeah. Yeah, it seems like there's going to be free-to-play mechanics, and that getting the heroes is going to require orbs, and the orbs are randomized. Well, like, the characters you get seem like they're randomized.
Yeah,
which means
that's how it works.
You can earn orbs in the game to some extent, and also you can buy orbs.
You should
get used to
if you
seeing
have
this
any questions about that, Alex, you can play Final Fantasy Brave Exvius.
It seems does it actually seem like it's taking
like I'm actually going to confirm that. I'm 99% sure that DNA made Brave Exvius.
How Jurassic Park Builder works too.
Probably.
Dinosaurs.
Yeah, but get used to seeing this screen when you boot up that game. You can play this game without spending money.
Right.
Because technically they're right.
Right. The only thing I'm worried about is the fact that it's one screen. I know exactly why they're doing it, but I'm worried that it will make some of the missions feel samey. And that's... I don't know. Super Mario Run is a very good video game, but it isn't necessarily a great Mario game. And I'm worried this is going to be like an almost as good Fire Emblem game.
I have a question. Do you guys think there will be a spend cap?
No.
To clarification, DNA, they made Final Fantasy Record Keeper, which is another similar game. They did not make Brave Exvius. That was Gumi, Gumi.
Yeah. I'm slightly worried about it. But I know I'm not worried about it. I'm just worried about that one mechanic. I'm pretty excited for it too.
Yeah.
As someone whose
strategy is going to be how do you get to your heroes without actually spending money on it?
Yeah. I mean, it's the kind of thing where if there's a will, there's a way. Like having played some of those games before, I haven't spent any money on them, but I've gotten a lot of enjoyment out of them. So, like I was playing Brave Exvius for 2 or 3 weeks consistently during the day.
Wow.
I mean, a couple minutes here or there because some things would be like energy limited and crap like that. And I'd be checking in for daily bonuses, but yeah.
Yeah. If I played Tap My Katamari for a straight week, I think I can learn to enjoy a Fire Emblem mobile game.
I still never played Tap My Katamari. I feel like I should, but
it's a clicker. It's a clicker with some of the cute stuff.
Egg Inc. is probably my favorite clicker on mobile. It is part of my education of learning about mobile games.
Right.
I like Egg Inc. a lot, so check that out.
Oh,
still want my Animal Crossing clicker.
If you wait a couple months and we'll see what happens. I have a mobile recommendation. We're talking about mobile games. If you want a good mobile game to enjoy tonight, it has nothing to do with Fire Emblem, but it's the one everyone's talking about on Twitter. It's Hidden My Game by Mom. And the reason why it's a broken English title, Hidden My Game by Mom, is because it's done by a Japanese studio that clearly does not have English as their first language. It is an escape the room type game, but it's you having to find your DS. That's what the game is, and you tap on a bunch of stuff. Hidden My Game by Mom. Look it up. It's free and it's awesome. So there's a mobile game to enjoy. But anyways, our last. It's a super Japanese ass game. So if you want a super Japanese ass game on your mobile device, Hidden My Game by Mom. And that whole studio has a bunch of funny ass Japanese games. None of them are great, but they're all stupid and funny, and they're all free as far as I know. To prepare for the launch, to prepare for the launch of Fire Emblem Heroes, today Nintendo kicks off the Fire Emblem Heroes Choose Your Legends event. You go to a website, and until the launch of the game, you can vote for your favorite Fire Emblem character, basically across the series. Like I voted for Gregor in Fire Emblem Awakening. Yeah. So you can choose all your guys. Voting for the first time, at least, earns you 200 platinum coins, for which, in my case, will just run out in 6 months when Nintendo doesn't put anything up. And the community's top-ranked hero and heroine will then be featured in Fire Emblem Heroes as Choose Your Legends event characters. And that's great, because if they just chose one character regardless of gender, it really would turn into a waifu voting contest. So, there you go. That's the Fire Emblem Nintendo Direct. I thought that was actually a really fun 19 minutes. TRBR was saying on Twitter that he did not like the fact that it was so mobile focused, but obviously the reason why they did that was because the game comes out in 2 weeks, and then the closest releasing Fire Emblem game we have still doesn't have translated voice work at least put into the game, and then the Switch game has only a white screen with a logo, and then the Warriors game, which has more gameplay footage, was I think about 9 seconds more of footage, which must have been like the exact same scene from Hyrule Warriors, except with Fire Emblem characters. So I don't think they had much of a video game to show other than Fire Emblem Heroes, just the promise of video games. So there you go. It was a good Nintendo Direct that I would say fully establishes Fire Emblem beyond a shadow of a doubt, beyond the shadow dragon of a doubt, as a Nintendo A-list franchise. There you go. There's your Fire Emblem stuff. Now, let's switch to Nintendo Switch. There was the Switch presentation last week. Donald, you guys talked about it on last week's show a little bit, but Neal has this pent-up Nintendo sexual frustration about all these opinions on the Nintendo Switch that he hasn't shared yet. I was in New York playing the Switch, so I didn't have this outlet to talk about the Switch. And Zach hasn't really talked about the Switch that much, which means for the rest of this episode, we're basically going to talk about the Switch presentation. So I hope somehow you can forgive us. Let's talk about the Switch. $299. Is that too much?
I think it's on the barrier of too much. I know I said for a while that $250 or bust, but I get the sense that $299 was like that was the lowest they could do with the tech that they have, and they did lay out like I think that there's justification for why it's $299. Like. I mean, I think that the controllers are clearly the controllers are more expensive than we ever could have imagined, and I think that's because there's a lot of crap inside of those controllers. There's, I mean, that they have that HD rumble feature. They have an NFC thing. It looks like Zach's going to have a stroke.
No. I want to butt in here and say that while I was watching their explanation of the HD rumble, I thought, how many developers are going to actively do anything with this?
The people who made 1-2 Switch.
Nintendo.
Yeah.
And nobody else.
I mean, like, okay, Alex, as someone who experienced the HD Rumble, I assume, is it real cool?
It's pretty cool. It's one of the cool things about the Switch. I played 1-2 Switch. You can see a video on Nintendo World Report TV of me and Justin Berube milking cows against each other while we wear these cow milking hats. It's a pretty alright video. And what you can feel is the way the game works is you milk it using the control. You press L and then R in a fluid movement. It'll make more sense when you end up playing the game in a month and a half. But there's a way that you press 2 buttons and you pull the Joy-Cons down. And as you press the buttons...
Alex, the teat.
The teat.
As you milk the teat.
As you pull the cow teat, which it's the cow tit, if we're going to be honest. As you pull the cow tit down and then the milk comes out, you can feel liquid, or the simulation of liquid, sloshing down your hand.
Well, that's cool.
I am immediately regretting bringing up the topic.
It is really neat. And also, I can't think of more than 5 games taking advantage of it.
Yeah.
Right.
If anything, I'm so glad that I can feel some advanced haptic feedback, because my favorite thing about the Xbox One is how you can play Forza, and then you can feel the engine way more effectively in that game because there's the haptic feedback on the triggers.
One of the cooler things about the Xbox One, and I think a kind of an under-discussed thing about the Xbox One, like I forgot about that by the time I got one, and when it first showed up in a game that I played, I almost lost my mind. Like, because I remember when the system first got I remember when Xbox One first got revealed, they're like, oh, there's haptic feedback in the triggers. Like, I got one last year, Just like, whoa, what the hell was that?
It's
It's a
really
cool
only
feeling.
utilized for Forza, but it makes Forza way better.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I did use the HD Rumble. I was listening to the Giant Bombcast talk about the Switch presentation, and Jeff Gersman did like a thing where on Mixler he just talked over the whole thing. And a point he made is that the HD Rumble may bite Nintendo in the ass a little bit ultimately, because the Switch is a console that would probably benefit from having a very focused message, and then reintroducing the motion controls as a main selling point of the console, especially when it already has a main selling point, will muddle the system up, and it will take the focus away from this being either the main Nintendo console you own or the only Nintendo console you own. Even if it's not the only Nintendo console you own, it evokes old Nintendo in a way that I don't think will ultimately benefit Nintendo.
Well, to be fair,
I totally agree with that. Go on, Donald.
yeah, like what they're saying is the main selling point is the fact that you can take this with you. Like the commercials that are starting to run in the UK, it's focused on, hey, you can play Breath of the Wild wherever you want. The motion controls don't even enter into the argument. It's probably going to end up being like what Neal sees with the Xbox
does
One.
because the system's $300.
Yeah.
If you didn't have the HD Rumble in those controllers would probably be cheaper. The system might be cheaper. And if they did, and I totally get what you mean by the marketing, but by what Alex was talking about what Jeff Gersman was talking about, is that I do think that there's a little bit of a problem with, like, by virtue of the decisions that they made, they might be marketing in a specific way, but the system costs a certain amount and the accessories cost a certain amount because of those decisions to put an HD Rumble, to have a pointer on the controller, to have a touchscreen, et cetera, et cetera.
More importantly, I'm not even thinking about the cost. It's $300. Maybe it always would have been $300. I'm thinking about the fact that Nintendo has to market this. And when you have a system that has all these different focuses, I don't think people look at it and be like, okay, here's the clear focus and here's all the new stuff it can do in addition to that. Which, in my opinion, they did well to market to me that way with the 3DS, but they didn't market that. Anyways, when you do all this extra stuff, it doesn't seem like here's our focus and then some. It just takes away that focus that you so desperately need. Like, I think it will make the Switch harder to market because they're mudding up the focus.
There's people talking in the chat about how, TRBR is saying they want to sell it as a portable, but price it like a console. And I don't think that's actually what they're doing. I think fans want it to be a portable, and Nintendo has been very clear and adamant that is a home gaming console first.
Yeah.
And it's, I mean, there is a disconnect in what outspoken fans want compared to what Nintendo is saying they are selling. But there's like, I don't think that's any like failure on Nintendo's fault, other than like maybe their fans just want portables.
That's what I want.
Neal, with you saying that, do you think there's going to be another Nintendo handheld while the Switch is still an
Yes.
system? Yes?
I feel very confident that there will be a successor to the 3DS in like 2018 or something.
I'm 60-40 on it.
Like I would say I'm like 80-20. Like I don't think that the 3DS line is going to die. I don't think like the portable line is just going to be morphed into the Switch. Like maybe it will be, if the Switch takes off, then maybe they cheap off the brand. But I think that it'll be like a fundamentally separate system from the Switch, even if they share games or something.
Interesting.
If, let's say you're right, does that affect the chances of Pokemon coming to a home console?
No, because I think that Stars is probably going to come out next year.
You think so?
Is Stars a thing? Should I wait for Stars?
But you haven't even played Sun and Moon yet?
No, I'm waiting for Stars.
Dude, just play Sun and Moon.
All right.
Some might say it's Nintendo World Report's favorite game of 2016.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
By the way, the reason I'm a giant sloth is because I'm trying something. Maybe what's causing the computer to constantly freeze is the video feed. I don't know. I'm trying things. Fuck this PC.
Okay.
All right. Anyway, but yeah, I think that I don't know what we were talking about. The Switch is a portable. I think that the message was a little muddled in that presentation. I I loved it. I really dug that presentation. Even if I could, like, as things were happening, I was like, oh, no one's gonna like 1-2 switch, but I kind of do.
It's that they made a Nintendo Johann Sebastian Joust minigame.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, they did.
It's
Like,
like
that's
Sports
awesome.
Friends, but all the minigames are Johann Sebastian Joust.
And like arms looked ridiculous and awesome in that video. Like Mario Odyssey was just bonkers. Like all like the Mega 10 game and Octopath Traveler and like all the stuff that they showed in that presentation just did it for me. I do think that presentation didn't play to a broad audience.
No.
It kind of struck me as like America and Europe lost in a power struggle to NCL. And NCL was just like, yeah, we're doing the presentation how you want to do it. You guys got to live translate it. Deal with it.
Yeah. That's
Like that's, I
Especially
mean,
with
that's the thing. Like that live translation. When Suda was up there, and granted, like I know, like people at least in the moment. I don't know how people's thoughts have evolved on the Nintendo of America translator, just being silent while Suda51 talked. If a dude was gonna go off script during this event, it would have been Suda. I think you put, like the people who were live translating that, they had a really hard job, and when you got a loose cannon like Suda51 up there, your job became way harder.
Yeah.
You don't think there was a script?
I think there was, and I don't think Suda51 followed it.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Suda didn't give a fuck.
No.
Yeah.
He was having a brainstorming session on stage.
Yeah, and I didn't even know what
I like that
Negoshi
moment,
from
though.
the Yakuza team was saying until I heard it later on RFN.
What was he saying?
Like after Yakuza 6 comes out in Japan, which I think it did, he's now working on something even crazier that's going to come to the Switch. That's essentially
Okay, cool. I didn't know that because I had no idea what the hell he was saying at the time.
Interestingly enough, Yakuza 6 is the last game in Kiryu's story in that saga, which means this is going to be when they turn it over to they do the Inazuma 11 thing where they do a new protagonist, presumably, for the next game, which means they might try to do a new start for Yakuza on Nintendo platforms.
That'd be cool.
This presentation overall, and especially the Switch after I played it, I was left very conflicted because as an Alex presentation, it hit all the beats. You have an HD Shin Megami Tensei game. You have Travis Touchdown returning 6 or 7 or 8 months after Suda51 tells me to my face that we might get a new No More Heroes game in 20 years. Alongside the craziest ass Mario game I have ever seen or anyone has ever
so
seen.
glorious.
It looks
does.
so fucking good. It looks like Sonic 2006 in a good way.
Yeah.
I never
Or it
thought-
looks like Sonic Adventure in a good way.
And it hits all the Alex beats. It became a console I cared about. But then after the fact, there was a lot of stuff that came out, and then me playing it that made me like less excited. Like the fact that it's all the accessories are going to be this much, and the fact that they're going to charge for online, but they did a very poor job of messaging that to the point where
I don't think they know what they're doing yet.
Okay.
I really
so
don't.
Let's slow down the online stuff. So as of right now, let's put our heads together. We don't know what it's going to cost.
that's
going to be
I think 20 a year, 20 or 30 a year.
20 a year is what was said.
No.
I mean, that's
No, that's my guess. That's my
Oh,
guess.
okay. So
20
we
or
don't know
30
what
a
it's
year.
going to cost. What we do know is that that's how you will be able to play online. There will be an app for your phone that you will do voice chat and matchmaking and like manage your friends list. Apparently, you can set up like play appointments with that too.
Yeah.
To be fair, I think you can
but
do
it's
that
all on
on
your phone.
Xbox.
Yeah. No, you can. You can actually do it on the system.
Yeah.
Whereas the Switch, you need a phone app, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. And the other thing is that once they start charging for it, then everybody, people who are like subscribed to it or whatever, they'll get a virtual console game, either an NES or a Super Nintendo game that will be updated with online, like online multiplayer if relevant.
Super Nintendo only.
Okay, Super Nintendo only will have online multiplayer.
And then
And
you get
you'll
one a
get-
month that you get to keep for a month.
Yes, which, okay, compared to PlayStation Plus and Xbox Live, that's ridiculous.
Yep.
I am aware that it is completely preposterous, but I do really like the idea of like oh, like I don't know, Final Fight 2 is gonna be everybody's gonna get that this month. So guess what? Like we're all gonna have access to Final Fight 2, and we can all go online and play Final Fight 2. I think Final Fight 1 on Super Nintendo was only a single player game.
Yep.
I don't know why I went with like a beat 'em up I've never played, but
Yeah, but
it could be like a month where like, oh yeah, like Super Mario World, like we can all play Super Mario World together online. Like that'd be pretty cool. Like I like that idea. I do kind of wish that like maybe you get to keep the thing past the month, or like maybe it's like you just have to pay like $1 up, like how they have the upgrade fee on Wii U, which we still don't know how Virtual Console is going to be done on the Switch. But like, okay, you're paying that money for a month. Like maybe you have the NES game, like everybody gets Mega Man 2, and you can pay $1 at the end of that month and keep it. Like if they had something like that, like I feel like that's the way to salvage a bad looking idea that I think could be cool.
They're kind of turning it into the Sega Channel.
Yeah,
They
the
really
Sega Channel had like 10 games on it at a time.
Yeah, it did. I said a limited selection.
Yeah.
I think that the idea of the Virtual Console game a month is really cool. I'm mad that the way that they're messaging it is so stupid.
No,
Right.
I think, Neil, I think you're giving this a little too much credit. Like I think you have good ideas, but it's the same thing as being like, you could play online with everyone, but you only get to keep the game for a month. It's a new game every month, and maybe you can pay $1, but you don't get to keep the game anyways, despite the fact that you're paying for online. To me, it's like a softer version of the idea of it's the best game of the year, but there are several game-breaking bugs in it that are very easy to access.
Yeah. I think the thing with like giving away so many games every month, I think I've probably got over 300 unplayed games from PS Plus. At least now, like, I mean, this is maybe just me. Maybe I'm more apt to actually play the thing I'm paying for if I have it for a month.
Yeah.
Like I have 107 games on my PS4 that I got because I subscribed to PS Plus for 3 years for some stupid reason, and I haven't played any of them yet.
Yeah.
I really don't want, like, there's maybe 2 in there that I want to play that are like Rocket League, and I'll just get killed on that. And honestly, off the top of my head, I can't even think of another one.
Yeah, I had PS Plus for years, and I just realized I wasn't playing any of the games anymore, and it wasn't worth it. There was a time, like, I totally get the appeal of, like, I do have Xbox Live Gold right now.
Xbox is way better. It's not even.
Yeah, no, I mean, currently it's way better. And in that tacked on with EA Access, which is a thing that I like a lot. Yeah. I mean, I think there's a good way to do those things, and it's frustrating because Nintendo is they're doing it really stupid, and it sucks because I really do like that idea of like, here's a Virtual Console game that we're all gonna play this month, like a game of the month. But everything else about the presentation of that idea is dumb.
Yeah, TRBR says 2 things that are literal on the meaner side, but I gotta say I kind of agree with it. It's Donald. Your argument is basically saying that you want less choice, which I don't necessarily fully agree with. It's like I had this observation as soon as the presentation went out. It's like, okay, they're gonna charge us for online for the first time. They gotta make a strong case to consumers that they're gonna charge for online. And PlayStation Plus and Xbox One offer 4 to 6 games a month. Some of them are completely new releases, and you get to keep them forever as long as you have the subscription. And even if the subscription runs out, you don't get to play them, but you can still re-download them if you re-up your subscription. Nintendo's idea of competing with that is to give me another copy of Wrecking Crew that I don't even get to keep. Like
it would be. I mean, I know they've only said NES and Super Nintendo games, but you know what the biggest fuck you would be? If they launched this thing and the first game,
Super Mario Brothers.
No, the first game in the first month of this that you can only access by being a member of this is fucking Mother 3. How incredible would that be? Because it would be like everybody who's like, oh, this is really dumb. They'd probably just be like, well, I want to play Mother 3.
Yeah.
Throw down $5 for that thing this month.
Yeah, and then they'd cancel their subscription after that, and they never bother with it again.
That would be way better.
We'd all be playing Mother 3 at the same time, and that'd be great.
That would be way better if the Switch launched on like March 29th, and it was the March game. So you get it for like 2 days. Yeah. Okay. Let's talk about the video games. There's the Switch. The one thing I will add is that from seeing the Switch on a screen and from playing the Switch controller looks great. 720p, super sharp, super bright. On a screen, on a TV, without using direct side-to-side video comparisons, it is almost impossible to differentiate the graphics of this console on the TV from a Wii U. You can barely tell because playing Mario Kart 8, the edges are smoothed out a little more. Like there's less of that really bad artifacting or whatever it is on the game, which I can tell obviously, but it's still like 10 to 20%. I made this comment in an editorial I think you should all go read, in which I call the Switch a mixed bag very deliberately on NintendoWorldReport.com, and I made the comment that if you told me that the difference between the Wii U and the Switch's power on television was the same between a PlayStation 4 and a PlayStation Pro, I would totally believe that. It seems like the same 15 to 20% graphical boost, which is one of the things that I know, like, graphics aren't that important. Nintendo knows how to make their games look great no matter what. It's one of the things that takes a little bit of the steam from my sail in that Switch presentation.
Can I talk about the hardware?
Yeah.
I think it's too expensive.
Okay.
Just because, like we've all been saying, you can go out and buy an Uncharted bundle for a PlayStation 4 for like between $250 and $300. And the launch is the accessories are stupid expensive. That Pro controller shouldn't cost $70. Good lord.
But okay.
And that's the only way to get a D-pad.
Let's back the shit up. Pro controller $70. How much are PS4 and Xbox One controllers?
They're too
60.
expensive too.
They're 60, correct?
They're 60, but I bought my PlayStation 4 controller for like 40 on Amazon.
It's pretty cheap. I got. Yeah, you can get that. They retail for 60. That's the point here.
Okay.
Yes, systems have been out for 3 years. You can get the controllers cheaper now.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying
the Pro controller is $10 more. It also has an NFC reader, and I think it has some sort of rumble in it as well. So, like, the price of the Pro controller is ridiculous because all controller prices are ridiculous. Yeah. It's not specific to the Switch.
Yeah,
it is an overall industry thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like the system. I have enough for it. That's what I was worried about. I have enough for it and Zelda, and maybe a memory micro SD card. But I mean, this is its market penetration. I feel is going to be low, at least to start. And
totally.
I've read quite a few things from. Well, not quite a few things. One or two things on Twitter that I kind of agree with. That this is maybe the soft launch. And then when they come around with Mario Odyssey, that might be the real selling point.
Yeah.
So that's looking at their launch. It's really puzzling. Which I have the little image here. On launch day, we got 5 retail games.
Right.
I'll just list them off quickly. Breath of the Wild 1-2 Switch from Nintendo. Super Bomberman R, a Konami game on launch day. Weird.
Yeah.
Just Dance 2017 and Skylanders Imaginators. Those are the launch day games. There might be some more additions, but I think like those are going to be the things that when you walk into a store, those will be the 5 games that will be on shelves.
Right.
And that's like crazy low.
Yeah.
But then you kind of look at like what they have planned for. I mean, even just the like, kind of going to the fall. Like throughout March, you'll get Snipper Clips, which looks incredible. You'll get Fast RMX, which is I guess like kind of like a reimagining of a great game on Wii U. You have I Am Setsuna, a game that I will play the crap out of on Switch because I never played it on PS4. Has Been Heroes looks kind of neat. Then in April, on April 28th, you got Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. In the spring, you'll also have ARMS and Puyo Puyo Tetris and Rhyme. And then in the summer, you have Splatoon 2. And then, that holiday, you'll have
Mario.
You'll have Mario, you'll have Fire Emblem Warriors, potentially even Xenoblade Chronicles 2. Like, I think that
That's not making 2017.
I really, because everybody's so adamant that it's not in 2017, I really want to see it come out in 2017. I don't think it will, but like, I everybody that I've talked to about it has been like, no way.
Yeah.
I think it'll probably come out in Japan in 2017. I think other regions, doubtful.
I think this launch is the Zelda launch. This is to get people who've wanted Zelda for 3 years, and then they'll do kind of a rebranding or something like they did with the PlayStation 4 later on when Mario comes out.
What rebranding did they do with the PlayStation 4?
Not the PS4. I'm sorry, the PS3.
What
or the Xbox One even after they ditched
the Xbox One, yeah.
Yeah, but see with those like that was because of distinct failure. Which I mean, who knows? The Switch launch could be a failure. I think there's potential. There's a little potential for failure there, but I think at least whether or not the strategy is good, I think what Nintendo is trying to do with stuff like the virtual console game a month crap and the way they have the schedule laid out is that they just want to have the conversation keep on going. Like I kind of took when they talked about how like, oh, we're not going to make the same mistakes that we made on Wii U and 3DS with the launch and you know, games coming out. I thought that meant that launch was going to be ridiculous. But I think more of what they were doing is that they were just going to have more evenly spaced out releases. So that way it's a consistent trickle. Because right now we're looking at, I mean, like major games pretty much like every month or in the summer every other month, which I mean isn't a totally new concept. But I think that if you're going to say in like in a 5-6 month period, you're going to have Breath of the Wild, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, ARMS, and Splatoon 2, like that's not that bad.
Yeah, that's good.
And you've also got 3 months of games, and then E3.
Yeah, no, I mean,
they must be saving things for E3.
Yeah, I would assume. I mean, there's what's some of the stuff that we've heard about in like rumors and like, you know, Pokemon Stars, if that's a thing, we'll probably hear about that around E3. Pikmin 4 might still be a game. Like, I mean, there's a lot of other kind of rumored Switch stuff that we will very likely hear about that will be coming out in the fall. Like, I mean, Mario's not going to be the only game.
I also think that there's a Nintendo Direct between now and March 3rd.
I think there might be multiple.
Yeah, because they have to explain their online and their virtual console. And Reggie said we'd get explanations before the launch.
Yeah. Either we have like press releases or directs. Like I think we're gonna start. It'll probably be a little slow ramp after kind of the hoopla of this event. Like we might have another week or two of silence, and then I would expect kind of February is going to be like minimum 2 videos about the Switch.
I would expect that NOA wants to do a more, you know, traditional Nintendo Direct because that conference presentation was so Japan centric. Yeah, and
Nintendo of America's Damon Baker, who is in charge of he's the Nindy guy. He's been I think it's just the same tweet I keep on seeing getting retweeted that he made the comment that like there's still more to come before launch. Like there's still more info coming. Specifically with Nindies. So I think whatever the eShop is, if they still carry on that name, like I think we're going to find out about that. Might not necessarily be their day one. But
yeah, that was my worry too. They didn't talk about the OS at all, and I thought, is it going to take them a year to get the OS fully functioning again?
I mean, to be fair, that's most systems, although the Wii U was horrid at launch.
Yeah.
Although the eShop would have to be there day one because I think the developers of IM Setsuna said they'll be there on launch day, and well, last I checked, that game wasn't getting a physical release.
Yeah, so then I guess maybe the eShop will be there day one.
And I'm gonna deal with
Nintendo's not sure, and the IM Setsuna guys are just like, well, we're gonna be there. Fuck them.
I'm gonna deal with the limited gigabyte space by buying games physically again.
Yeah.
It takes up to 2 terabytes micro SD, which is awesome.
Those don't exist yet, but that is awesome.
Like, we don't even have 512 yet.
It's future proof. I think it's good that they did up to 2 terabytes. Like even if like it doesn't exist, I'm not willing to get an external hard drive ever under any circumstances whatsoever.
Well, that would be dumb because you'd have to carry it around with you.
Right. Just on any system.
Jay Senator 06, who said, please do a 3DS only Nintendo Direct so we can see what's coming for that in 2017. Or you can go to NintendoWorldReport.com and look for our 3DS 2017 preview that I wrote a couple weeks ago. There are a number of cool 3DS games, and I will continue to harass Atlas PR until they tell me that Etrian Odyssey 5 is coming out.
Yes.
There's a Shin Megami Tensei game that got confirmed the night of the Switch presentation, in addition to the HD Shin Megami Tensei game, although we have no idea what either of them are.
Wait, what? There's a new 3DS Megaten game?
Yeah.
And it's going to be out this year in Japan.
It's this year in Japan. There's an HD project, and then there's also a 3DS game that was listed on the Atlas website. And I was talking to Atlas PR John Harden at the Nintendo Switch event in New York City, and we were shooting the shit about Shin Megami Tensei. And I was like, yeah, did you hear anything about the 3DS game beforehand? And he was like, no, I saw it at the same time you guys did.
But man, we're getting Puyo Puyo Tetris on this thing. That was the first game I pre-ordered.
We're gonna talk about the games, but yeah.
I mean, I think I've said the comment before about how Super Bomberman R is the game that I wanted for Switch but didn't know what I wanted. Because I'm kind of giddy thinking about potentially getting a big dopey Bomberman tournament at PAX East together.
That would be really cool.
Like that excites me because Bomberman is so much damn fun if you have people together. Like actually at PAX East is where I've played, like, I think you can do 12-player Bomberman on Saturn. Like they've had that set up in the retro room before, and it's so much fun.
Nice.
We can only do 8 players with Switch, but hey, we all bring our Switches. Yay.
All right. Well, okay. I have one more question for you. Then we'll read stuff from the chat, and then we'll go right into games. I'm gonna go around. Have we pre-ordered a Switch? Well, what have you pre-ordered, if anything? I have pre-ordered the Nintendo Switch and Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild. Neal, I know you. We'll see if how things shape up for you in March. But have you preemptively pre-ordered?
Yes, I have. I will. Optimistically be reviewing the system for the website. So
yeah.
So hopefully I won't have to use that pre-order.
Right, but I was just curious. And then did you pre-order Zelda preemptively, or did you just...
No. I was thinking about trying to pre-order one of the special editions, but I think I'm just going to kill the collector in me and just get the game when it comes out.
Yep.
Okay. Zach,
but as far as for what I'm in for launch day. Breath of the Wild, Super Bomberman R, 1-2 Switch, and I Am Setsuna.
Damn.
Okay. Cool. Zach, how about you?
I ordered my Switch at Best Buy. I paid for it with cash. They were not able to get the multicolored one, which I was kind of weirded out by, but I don't really care. And I'm not pre-ordering Zelda because I assume everybody and their dog will have it. I'll just be able to buy it on a store shelf, and then I'm going to get a micro SD card of some kind, but that's all I've got.
Sure. And you, Donald?
I walked over to an EB Friday morning after falling asleep at about 4 o'clock in the morning to get my Switch with multicolored Joy-Cons. I'm half paid on that now, thanks to some judicious trading in EB promos. I have Breath of the Wild coming on Wii U for my 2014 pre-order. That will be $35 cheaper than what that game is launch at, so I'll take the hit and play that on Wii U. But I did pre-order the most important game of all, Puyo Puyo Tetris, and I have Bomberman slated for launch day.
Nice. Okay, let's go to the chat a little bit. Alex, would you categorize the Switch as an amazing handheld but a mediocre current-gen home console? I would call it neither. I would call it a very good Nintendo system for me that is not nearly perfect and has just enough flaws for me to at least be concerned about the future of that system.
You nailed it.
It seems very good, but it seems like it has just enough things that would turn away people who aren't me and aren't the people on this show that make me not worried. I don't stay up at night thinking about the future of Nintendo, although technically that's what I'm doing exactly right now. Yeah. But I do think about this stuff, and I'm like, I don't think this will necessarily Dreamcast Nintendo. If no one,
this is so their Dreamcast. Dreamcast. Look at everything about it. All the signs are there. The Wii U was a fucking Saturn. Let's go.
Yep.
Buckle up, kids. It's gonna be a shitty year and a half.
I don't want to be a doom and gloom Nintendo's last system guy. But if it was Nintendo's last system, I would be very sad, but I would not be surprised.
Gasp of the wild.
Yeah.
I want them to succeed so bad. As a fan, like I am so excited for like everything about the Switch. Like it's pretty much everything they announced at the presentation is like right up my alley. Like, yeah, the prices are a little too much. Like that sucks. But
it ain't up Grandma's alley. It ain't up that friend from high school who hasn't played Nintendo in 10 years.
Well,
but couldn't be.
Actually, I have anecdotal evidence for that of a couple people who are way more interested in this than they were the Wii U. But
yeah, me too.
I mean, I think that the story of the Switch won't be told by its launch. I think it will be told by its first year.
Agree.
I don't think that the launch is going to be as like absolutely bonkers as like we kind of expect game system launches to be, or at least optimistically what they should be. I mean, you can kind of look at the 3DS, which kind of fizzled until the holiday that year when it launched in March 2011.
Yeah.
And that system rebounded and is, I mean, not nearly as successful as what came before it, but the 3DS is a successful video game console.
It rebounded in part because they dropped the price so quickly.
Yeah. Which,
people could suddenly afford it.
I feel like we're not going to see that with the Switch because I think that Nintendo hopefully learned from the debacle of overpricing the 3DS when it came out. But I wouldn't be surprised if it's $2.99 bundled with like Zelda or Mario.
Or 1-2 Switch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or I mean like or a Splatoon bundle or something like that. Like I think we're going to see it rock the 300 price point for a while, but there will be bundles at the $300 price point.
Probably by Christmas.
Retailers will probably be apt to help with that. They may, I don't know how much of this retail cut, but we might see some pretty aggressive gift card offers around the holidays for this thing, especially.
Chariot Goblin, Breath of the Olivia Wild. That's real good. I haven't heard that one before.
But with the 3DS, because it got a little bit of a bump with the price drop, but Nintendo really didn't start losing all the money on the 3DS until Mario Kart and Mario 3D Land came out in November and December.
Right. Yeah.
This won't be the Wii U, though. Unless they completely bork it in their second year. I'm guessing they learned their lesson just enough for this not to be a repeat of the Wii U. Because if you remember, the Wii U, even though it's been alive for like 4.5 years, it was slowly dying for 3 of those years.
Yeah.
I would say
like the Wii U was like dead by like the February after it came out.
It was dead by Mario Kart 8. Like I really
I don't know what you really think it made it that long?
They're being really smart about the marketing around this system. They never were with the Wii U. They didn't know who their audience was, and they didn't know how to sell it to people. I feel like that 3-minute video back in October was like it. They've really got it down now.
Right. Okay, let's see. Is there
I look forward, and I think we're going to see more fun marketing from Nintendo.
Yeah.
Over the next month and a half, and I mean, I think they slipped up with the presentation, but I think the reasons why they slipped up with the presentation are more NCL than NOA, and I think that NOA has done a very good job thus far with marketing the system.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's okay. Let's move on to the games. However, I don't want to drag this on anymore, but we have to at least say something about how Koizumi is such a great spokesperson for Nintendo.
I like Koizumi. I like the way he blinks.
Good, yeah.
I like the way he snaps. I like his swagger. I like his Japanese businessman swagger.
Dude, Koizumi is a boss. Like,
I bet he's like 70 years old.
Well, he's been there for 20. He started on the first Mario Kart, so that was what, 91, 92?
He looks like he's like your age, Neil, except like I was rewatching the presentation, and then you can look into your eyes, and then you're like, oh, wait, he's like 50.
Yeah, he's 48 years old. His birthday's on April 29th. So he'll be 49 soon.
So is he going to be like the new Iwata?
No.
He'll be a
Yeah,
decent
all right.
Japanese spokesperson, I think.
Yeah. His first game, he did.
That's what I mean. Is that the role he's going to take on?
Dude did the artwork for the manual for Link to the Past.
Nice.
First gig, and then within 5 years, he was the assistant director of Mario 64.
Holy shit.
And like,
That's crazy.
it's not like how Satoshi Tajiri in Pokemon games was slowly relegated to like an executive producer role. Like this dude, as Mario games went on, he just took more hands-on role.
No, that's not true. That's not true. His last directorial effort was Super Mario Galaxy, and he's been in producer heaven ever since.
But hasn't he had some hand in the actual design of the game? Like,
I mean, as much as any other producer would have their hand in a game.
He was strictly billed as producer after that point. I was almost
I'm looking at it right now. I know who was the director in Galaxy 2. Hayashida, who's now, I think he's the guy who's kind of running EAD Tokyo now.
Oh. Jesse Estrada asks, "What guy are they talking about?" We're talking about Koizumi, who is
Yoshiaki Koizumi. I will copy and paste his name in the chat.
Okay, yeah, he's the guy who was wearing the suit jacket during the Switch presentation, and he kept snapping. He had that cute little bit. Okay, I think we talked about everything for the Switch console we need to talk about for now, unless anything else comes up after the fact. But let's talk about the first-party games. Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. That game's coming out with...
That trailer's awesome!
That's an awesome trailer.
I cried. I was so happy and excited. It was like Metroid Other M. You better not do that to me again, Nintendo.
They might.
It looks anime as hell.
Like, I can't, man. I think what really does it for me with all these Zelda games is, and I'm kind of coming to terms with this myself, I kind of love all the timeline bullshit. Like, I'm a little ashamed to admit it, but like, it's just fun. Like, I don't take it seriously, but just like thinking about like, okay, what does this mean? How does this game tie to this game? Like, that's fun.
Yeah,
sure.
And just trying to figure out what in the Sam Hill fuck is happening in this game. Like, I'm so excited. I want to know what happened 100 years ago. Are we going to get a flashback? Is it going to reference another game? I don't know.
I think Zelda's his sister. That's my pet theory.
Why? I think isn't there like some Linkle? Well, it's not Linkle, but like there's some stand-in for Linkle who's going to be like his sister in the game. Or am I missing?
I think that might have been so when there was a trailer at the Game Awards, and I was one of the people talking about it like this. It seemed like there might have been two women, but that might have just been Zelda.
Okay.
In two different outfits, but who knows? But like,
I think the King of Hyrule is going to be a character. That's all.
What?
I think that's the King of Hyrule who's doing the voiceover.
Oh yeah, totally.
I think that when he mentioned my daughter and then it showed Zelda, like, of course.
Well, yeah, no shit.
I also have this fantasy that it would be set 100 years after the CDI games, and it's actually referencing King Harkinian. Yeah.
Nah, dog, nah.
I played this game. Finally, I played it. It's an open world video game that has Zelda stuff in it. It doesn't feel like a Zelda game from the 20 minutes I played. Then again, I also only played 20 minutes, and 7 of those minutes were like, Link, open your eyes, Link. Press the X button to climb a 10-foot wall. Open your eyes, Link. Press the A button to use the Sheikah Stone. And now you have 7 minutes to explore this gigantic world. It seems like a pretty good open world game. I am not convinced it isn't an also-ran yet, but if it's an also-ran, it looks like it's going to be one hell of an also-ran.
I kind of had a moment when watching that Game Awards footage. Like, so, I mean, I love the Zelda series. I got my window thing behind me here. I have there's a Hylian shield right there. Like, Zelda is probably, without a doubt, my favorite Nintendo series. So Breath of the Wild is, of course, very high on my radar. And after, like, I devoured all the shit at E3. I couldn't wait. And then they showed that Game Awards footage, and I just had the seed of doubt planted. Because I don't think, I mean, at least for me, and I think we've talked about this before, the Game Awards footage, like, didn't really excite me. That trailer was awesome. But the gameplay footage shown, I don't think that was a good presentation of the game. And that put the seed in doubt of me and made me realize that when has Nintendo really made, or when has a 3D Zelda had a very good overworld?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
And I kind of like the sea in Wind Waker, but I can also hear all the complaints that it's really boring. For some reason, just like charting the sea was really fun to me.
I love the overworld in Ocarina of Time.
But the overworld in Ocarina of Time is also like really bare bones. Like it's peanuts compared to what they're trying to do with Breath of the Wild. And I think that there's that concern of mine that I think, Alex, you seem to echo as well, that I think that like the gameplay in this is going to be awesome. Like the dungeons, the puzzles, like because those Zelda guys, they do it right.
Yeah.
The open world aspects, I'm a little concerned about because I don't think that team has really proven that they know how to do an open world. And maybe it'll come out and maybe it'll blow us all away and they'll have some new twist on it. They'll have their Nintendo touch on it that'll make it amazing. But there's a little part of me that's just nagging me. That's like, what if the open world sucks? What if the open world sucks? And that could hurt that game a lot. But I'll be optimistic. I can't wait for this game. I need to know for myself if the open world sucks or not. And I hope everything else is awesome.
I'm kind of I'm liking more and more I'm feeling more and more like it is a return to the original game, where it's an open world and you go in this cave and it's a dungeon. Cool.
They said it. Yeah, they said as much. Wouldn't it be cool if the way you get your sword is you go into a cave that's right near where you start the game?
Mm-hmm.
I know that's not what will happen, but that would be such a cool callback to the original game.
Well, I think didn't they say that it's the inverse of this one, and that instead of going into a cave and getting a sword, you're going out of a cave to get your sword.
Oh yeah, nice.
That's pretty cool. To comment on what you said, Neal, I totally agree. My fear for this game is that because Nintendo is so closed off and they claim to not take that much inspiration from things and they like to do things themselves, that I think they might be thinking that they're inventing the open world game, but there's
it's the open air game, Alex. Excuse me, it's the open air game.
The open air game, which is exactly what Nintendo would fucking call it.
Because that's what they called it.
But it's the development team thinks they're inventing the open world genre when in reality Western development studios have progressed it like potentially 5 to 10 years beyond where it looks like Zelda might be at. So I'm afraid that they're going to release an open world game that'll be halfway obsolete because of other open world games that exist.
Right.
That was my fear since E3. That's still my fear, but I'm convinced it'll still be a good Nintendo game regardless. I'm mostly convinced.
I'm seeing Kevin and Cherry Goblin talking about Monolith Soft working on Breath of the Wild, which, like, yes, we know that they are working on Breath of the Wild, and also I have it on pretty good authority that Breath of the Wild is using the Xenoblade Chronicles X engine, which is also probably what Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is running on as well, because that engine got kind of like over the development of Breath of the Wild. As far as I understand it, it was a Wii U engine that then Monolith helped make work on Switch. So now both Monolith and Nintendo can use this engine to make really awesome, epic games like Xenoblade Chronicles 2 and Breath of the Wild.
We have 1-2 Switch, which we already talked about. Yeah. Although, in my imagination, this is a sequel to Wild Gunman. I know it's not.
You know what's funny? All they had to do was make it a sequel to Wild Gunman, and no one would be complaining about it at all.
It would be.
That's probably true.
Instead, they released like 1-2 Switch Skylanders, Wild Gunman's Adventure.
Well, my brother and I were watching the conference together, and when that skit started with the cowboys, I said, "Oh, it's going to be like that Kirby minigame in Kirby's Adventure."
And it is.
Was.
But okay, I'll give it the $50 price tag for 1-2 Switch. That's probably a little much. Guess what? Wait a couple months. It'll probably be like $20-$30 real soon.
Yep.
That's how video games work in 2017. If you don't want to pay $60 for Final Fantasy 15, just give it a couple months. And you'll be able to get it for like 20 or 30, like I'm waiting for.
And if you have Best Buy Gamers Club, the launch price for that game is $40. Great.
Yeah.
It should have been a pack-in, but it's still starting at $40 if you have certain premium online shopping memberships.
Yeah, I mean, I think 1-2 Switch at $50 is probably a little much, but you are getting like 20 plus mini games. We don't know how much more depth is going to be in there. Like I think regardless of anything, I would be getting this game at launch because I like playing games in a party setting, and I think it's probably one of the few ways that I'll get some of my friends to be like, "Hey, check out this system with me."
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I'd be able to play it with on game night without having to go outside to play Joust.
Hey, Alex, to answer, people are talking in the chat about how Nintendo games never drop in price. Didn't you buy Star Fox Zero a couple months ago?
I bought Star Fox Zero at a GameFly sale with Star Fox Guard fully in box. No, it was used and open, but it was still a Star Fox Zero for $20 for the whole thing. I
Okay,
haven't played it,
Nintendo games drop in price, everybody.
but
Just not the ones that actually sell.
not as much as other games, and
Oh
some
no,
games
that's
don't.
true. That's
But
true.
some
I'm just
games
saying,
some games do. Yes.
but especially in I guess the modern era, like Nintendo games do drop in price.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
You can find them on sales if you
I
have.
bought
If you
that
keep an
Wii
eye out.
Rhythm Heaven game for $5 at Best Buy.
Yeah, I got Fortune Street and Rhythm Heaven Fever for like $5.
Yeah.
Nice.
I was looking up how many video games that are in Wii Play because I think they compared it to Wii Play as with the amount of content that we'll get. I think Reggie did that. And Wii Play has 9 games. Wii Party has 80 mini games. Obviously, it'll fall somewhere in the middle of those two. What surprised me more is that I'm on the article for Wii Play, and this is so off topic, but the Japanese title for Wii Play is Your First Step to Wii. And I think that's a crazy title for a video game.
Wow.
Yeah, I never knew that. Like you ever we all think we know Nintendo, but once in a while there's a fact that you should know that you're like, wait a second, I never knew that before. Like I was at the Nintendo store and like I never realized Nintendo had their weird video cassette prototype for the NES that was being shown off in that store. It's just the same thing. Anyways, that's beside the point. I just wanted to share that Wii Play was titled Your First Step to Wii. And that's a crazy title for a video game.
And I mean, maybe it'd be smart to do like maybe a Joy-Con bundle with 1-2 Switch somewhere down the line or something like that. I mean, I still feel like you got to do a bundle for ARMS that comes with another set of Joy-Cons.
Absolutely.
But yeah, good accidental segue there. ARMS looks really cool. Alex, how was ARMS?
ARMS, I'm not convinced of yet. I wish I was convinced of ARMS because they're selling this as the brand new internal Nintendo characters of this generation, or they were during the presentation. Like they made it sound like basically what Splatoon was, as like new main Nintendo-ass Nintendo IPs. That's what they are more or less selling ARMS as, which is this boxing game where it's like extreme Wii boxing, but you're firing your gloves from far away with springs. You got Springman and Ribbon Girl. Here's what ARMS is. ARMS is Wii boxing with the movement of Pokken Tournament. That's what it is. That's if you look at it, you watch the video, you'll see what I'm talking about a little more. It plays like Wii boxing, and that it's not like you're like the guy in the trailer where you're doing the little bobbing and weaving, and you're doing because you can't actually punch like you're a boxer, because if you keep your fist the wrong way, it'll twist your fist. So like everything does have to be deliberately. And with buttons, so what it looks like to play ARMS is more like this. So it is very much Wii boxing, where you can't really waggle. You have to like use the control of the game to your advantage. But yeah, it feels like extreme Wii boxing with some Pokken Tournament. The first time I played it, which the demo was 2 fights, and I played it single player, so I didn't get the multiplayer thing. I was like, okay, this is all right, but I'm not fully convinced yet. We'll see what the final package looks like. But what I heard from someone who commented on the Switch mixed bag article I have on Nintendo World Report, and they were like, yeah, I played ARMS too. The first time I played ARMS, I was in the same camp you were, where I wasn't fully convinced. But the second time I played ARMS, it fully clicked, and I had such a good time. So it sounds like it could be like Splatoon, where you have to figure out how the game is supposed to play and how you're supposed to play the game and how you're supposed to interact with the video game properly. before you can fully have fun. But I was getting Pokken Tournament vibes at the time. What I will say is that Springman's character design and Ribbon Girl's character design is fucking sweet.
I'll point out, because in my Nintendo developer nerdery, Kosuke Yabuki is the producer on this. According to the wiki that I'm looking at, dude's 35 or 36. So he's a young one, but he directed Mario Kart 7 and 8, and this is his first game as a producer. So he's only been with the company for like a decade.
ARMS and Splatoon, but definitely ARMS. Like, if you ever have those moments in your life where you're like starting to envision like your life in 30 years, and you're starting to realize how different things are going to be when you're an old man, like ARMS is one of those moments where it feels like, even though Nintendo will still always have the games from your childhood, like Mario, Zelda, all of our childhoods, whatever, Splatoon and ARMS are making me realize that as time goes on, there's a chance that Nintendo's core franchises are going to be so wildly different than they are now, and it could be completely new characters, and that's crazy to me.
Yeah, I mean, we've already seen that with how quickly Splatoon has gone through the ranks. I mean,
Splatoon is an A franchise now, just like Fire Emblem.
I mean, and the Inklings are now in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. They're like the only new characters being added.
Yeah.
Also, like, for real, there are no new tracks being added. It's just battle mode is the new thing.
The 16 tracks they taught that were rumored beforehand, I think that was just the fact that this game includes all the DLC.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, the Splatoon track is the battle mode stuff, which is Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. I played Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. They do a good job of selling this game. Like, it's this super cool, like, future Switch game, and that it's going to have a lot of new stuff. Playing Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, that game is Mario Kart 8 ass Mario Kart 8. Don't worry about how cool the box art looks. Don't worry about how they did a good job. It's really great box art. Don't worry about how good of a job they do of making a trailer and makes the game seem new. There is way less new shit in this game than you actually think. Granted, battle mode is cool. The Splatoon characters are awesome characters, and they're totally worthy of being in a Mario Kart game or a Smash Brothers game. They totally deserve it. Splatoon is awesome. But this is Mario Kart 8 with all the content from the DLC and a few more things. Make sure you understand exactly what that game looks like before you decide to buy it. If you ever buy a port and you're expecting more out of it than it actually ends up being, this is what I could see this being the case with Mario Kart 8 Deluxe.
Here's a question for you guys. I was thinking about this today. You know, when the GameCube launched, or not the GameCube, when the Wii launched, people weren't like, "Gosh, I hope they port Double Dash to the Wii."
I wish they did.
Well, yeah, and then
although I actually, real talk, I think Mario Kart Wii might be my favorite Mario Kart game.
Yeah,
it does have Funky Kong.
And then when the Wii U came out, people weren't like, "Man, I really hope they port Mario Kart Wii to this." Why do we care that Mario Kart 8 bridges consoles when we've never cared about that in the past?
I care about that.
I can tell you the Nintendo angle for this. It's a game to come out a month after launch.
Yeah.
And there is, I mean, they expanded that game over a year, and you'd like to think there'd be some sort of return on that investment, whether you get a discount for owning the DLC, because that's proof you own the game or not.
Interesting.
You know, I care about new Mario Kart games, and I don't consider myself a fan of Mario Kart. I just consider myself a fan of Mario Kart DS, and every Mario Kart game that has come out since Mario Kart DS, I have looked at as lesser because it does not have the awesome mission mode.
The mission mode's so great. Although the Wii version did have that, but it was online only.
But if they included that, thank you for the correction, but if they did include that in this game, I would pay full price for it. But without it, I'm probably going to get it as soon as it hits some kind of price drop, so I don't have to spend full price on it.
Oh, yeah,
like it'll be very much a judgment call. For me.
You're reviewing that game.
No, I'm not.
Really?
Not after the last time,
man. There was that hot minute where I was like, what if that's a launch game? Like then I'll kind of have to review it, and like I don't know if I'm ready to review Mario Kart 8 again after
Shit, man, I'll take it if you won't.
after being destroyed for giving it a 7.5 back when it first came out.
That it totally deserved.
Yeah.
Justin Berube and I, like speaking on what you just said, Donald, Justin Berube and I, when we were walking around New York, there was a few hours before the Switch presentation started, or the Switch event started. We were talking about Nintendo as what will happen, and we were like, so you remember Neal's Mario Kart 7 review? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, a 7.5 is exactly what that game deserves. And he's like, yep. And then that was a conversation we had about Neal's Mario Kart 8 review the other day. So I have no problem with a 7.5. I
like the game. Like I mean that's part of the reason why like I won't review Mario Kart 8 Deluxe unless like it was the only option if it was a launch game. Is because right now my perception of Mario Kart 8 is totally colored because that was a game that I kind of enjoyed, and then after people telling me I should go fucking die for giving it a 7.5 out of 10, I kind of look at that game differently now.
Yeah.
Because it just brings up bad feelings. Like it's still fun. I've played it. We've played it online with patrons before. I've had a good time, but like I have some issues with that game, and they became exasperated once people started yelling at me about it.
Yeah, Splatoon 2. Splatoon 2 is not
looks
Splatoon
great.
1.5. It is Splatoon 2. It looks great. I played it. It was the game that I played more than once at that event because like we had like 3.5 hours to play everything, so I was going game to game to game to game. But Splatoon had so many consoles and it didn't have a huge line, so I actually played it 3 times. I played it once on the TV and 2 times on the Switch pad, and that game is really fun. It is like people say how it is basically. They haven't done a good job of justifying why this is Splatoon 2 yet, even though there's like new weapons and new maps and there's no more spawn camping, which is kind of cool. Like you can't go to your enemy's spawn point and you can't stand there because now there's this yellow barrier that prevents you from getting to that super last part of the map.
Oh, I like that. That's a good idea.
And there's the jetpack so that you can get on that side, but after the jetpack special runs out, it ends up putting you where you first used the jetpack. So like you can get up there for a few seconds, but there is a small portion of your opponent's map that is basically inaccessible to the rival team, which is a good idea. So there is that. There's also new weapons. The Splat Dualies are cool. I loved playing Splatoon on the controller. It's still got the motion control. It still plays like Splatoon. It is the video game.
How's the map feel?
It feels like a Splatoon map. It doesn't.
Well, no, I mean like because you don't have the gamepad.
Oh,
it's separate. It's one screen instead of having 2.
X. You gotta press X to use the map. I never ever actually jumped to ally locations in the original Splatoon, so I didn't actually use the map at all, but it will be slightly less convenient than the gamepad, although anyone could have told you that without even playing it. It's not a game breaker, and it's the Switch game I'm most looking forward to. I look forward to seeing how they manage to justify it as a sequel, although I think their justification will be, hey, it's a launch game and we got a new Splatoon game, so there you go. Like it's not that different, but hey, it's a new Splatoon game.
All they need to do is throw in a single player mode, and I'm totally on board.
If you have a new Mario Galaxy style mode, like that's all you need.
Yeah. I mean, Splatoon is one of my favorite Wii U games, if not my favorite. Like that game is brilliant in so many ways, and I don't really care if it's just kind of more of an iterative sequel. Like, just give me Splatoon that I can play on my new system.
Yep.
It's kind of funny because with that and Mario Kart 8, I think I would have been like way more into rebuying like Splatoon 1.5 than I would Mario Kart 8 Deluxe.
Right.
But like I would have rather had Mario Kart 9 and Splatoon 1.5 than the other way around. Although I'm not complaining that we're getting Splatoon 2.
Splatoon 2 is a lot of fun. I look forward to seeing how they differentiate it from this first game. It's the most fun I had at that event. I anticipate it more than Zelda, although obviously that's not saying like a ton coming from me, but I still, like, it is my most excited game for the first few months. So there you go, Splatoon 2. 4v4 turf battles. And then like you got the 8-player Splatoon, right? So
Yeah.
there's all that stuff. Super Mario Odyssey looks crazy, and I'm so excited.
Looks good.
Woo woo.
It was the other game that I sat up straight for.
Yo, New Dog City.
Kane asked, "Do you guys think Splatoon will have a better party forming system? And do you
I
guys think
hope
it'll
to
let
God
you
it
choose
does.
individual game modes?"
I hope
And
so.
yeah, like, and I think they were closer with the original Splatoon setup than people might give them credit, at least in comparison to what Nintendo has done in the past for multiplayer. Because like making private games on that is surprisingly easy and pretty good. Although they added that in post launch.
Yeah. So I wish. Is there anything really we can say about Super Mario Odyssey other than we're so excited? I think it's wonderful that place is called New Donk City. I love that their design philosophy is the feeling you get when you go to a new place for the first time, which I was going to New York City for the first time, so I immediately like...
You mean New Donk City.
New Donk City. I'm a new donker.
I heart ND.
Like, I just want to know who came up with that idea, that name.
Well, it's
Yeah.
the
It's
question
just
is
like
the
a
Donkey
bunch
Kong thing. Is Donkey Kong in this game?
Oh,
better be.
man. I really have to finish the Donkey Kong Historia before this. Or do I have to wait until it's out? Because then maybe it'll tie up some loose ends.
You know,
Bowser looks like a pimp, by the way.
Well, they had Bowser in that suit, but how does he get in the suit?
It's painted on.
I guess it must be.
And there is something very retro feeling about the fact that Bowser is explicitly trying to marry Peach in this game, which is something that
This is
feels...
like the fourth time that's happened.
Yeah.
No. It's happened a lot, but it's the kind of thing that's happened more in like the early Mario games than the recent Mario games. It feels like because the recent Mario games, it's I love Peach, I'm gonna steal Peach, and then Mario saves Peach. Yeah.
Did you guys see the parental controls video?
Yeah, that was cute.
Yeah.
It was pretty cute.
Where Bowser on his phone, his lock screen is Peach.
That's cute. Yeah, and Peach has got the wedding outfit. We got Mexican Mario, but it's like this desert with like ice coming out of it, which looks sick. You have Mario in this jungle, but it's like a realistic looking rainforest, which makes it look like it's some weird Unreal 4 tech demo, but not in a bad way. And Mario's like 3 feet tall, and there's all these super tall people, and there's these chicks who are skipping rope with him, and then he's dancing, and it's just awesome. And I'm so ready. It might be my most anticipated game of this year, like tied with Persona 5.
Wow.
Yeah. It looks great.
Dude, I can't wait for Mario Odyssey. It looks so ridiculous in all the best ways.
Like it looks like they looked at those educational Mario games from the Super Nintendo and they're like, what if we took this idea and made like one of the best games of all time? like they're tongue in cheek where there's like an irony, but it's also genuinely amazing. I'm very excited. I'm very excited. Snipper Clips, Cut It Out Together. I also play that. That game is you cut shapes out. It's 2-player, as far as I know, or up to 4-player. You're pieces of paper, and you can press buttons to cut paper. Here's what it is. Watch videos for that game. That's going to do a way better of explaining that game than I can ever do. What I can say is that if you're the kind of person who really likes Scribblenauts or Drawn to Life, this will scratch that specific itch.
And you know what's crazy?
Couch co-op.
You know what's crazy about it is that the developer of it actually came from like an indie project that then Nintendo bought and funded.
Yep.
Huh.
Yep. And that is pretty crazy. It was fun. I played it briefly. It was fun. People are excited about it. They should be. It's going to be $20 in March. I'm guessing a couple weeks later. It'll bridge the gap between Mario Kart and the Switch launch, or at least that's their hope, which is cool. Now let's move on to a few of the third-party games. We talked about Fire Emblem. We talked about Bomberman as much as anyone can talk about Bomberman. I think it's crazy that Suda51 got on stage and announced a new game with Travis Touchdown. I was screaming in my hotel room when that happened because it was so random and so needless, and I have no idea how and when that game came to fruition. But No More Heroes 1 and 2 are two of the most badass games ever made. I'm not saying two of the best games ever made, but two of the most badass games ever made. And the idea of a new game in the No More Heroes universe, and I'm being very careful to not call it No More Heroes 3, because it sounds like it could be something slightly different than that. Like it could be a wrestling game, or it could be like a 2D, like indie development inspired.
I don't think Suda51 actually knows what it's going to be yet.
Yeah. But there was that sick illustration of Travis Touchdown, and what was his shirt saying? Do you remember what his shirt said?
No.
I don't.
I'm gonna Google it, but it was pretty cool. Anyways, I feel bad for the translator because I didn't. There was probably no way he knew what was going on. Because Suda went off script, but we already talked about that. There's a new Shin Megami Tensei game that's definitely not coming out in 2017, but it showed a decrepit area. It showed Jack Frost. It showed all these characters you recognize from Shin Megami Tensei. And
Mara was in that trailer. I can't believe they got away with
who?
Mara, the penis demon.
Oh, the penis demon. And then there was this HD Unreal 4 Odin, which looked fucking sick.
Yeah.
And then it said that it's a 25th anniversary project, and we have no idea what it is. I would be so happy.
Or Megaten 5.
Happy if it was Megaten 5. And so many Shin Megami Tensei spin-offs that I would not be surprised if it was something in the vein
Your video's
PS2
gone.
games.
Yeah.
Me, can you at least hear me visually?
Yes.
Yeah. We
No,
can
well,
hear you
okay.
visually, yes.
Okay.
You can hear me. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm clicking on a Travis Touchdown image, which is probably like screwing up my bandwidth.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
But I'm so close to finding out what that picture says. I'm so close. I see a t-shirt. I'm gonna see it in a second. Oh, Travis Strikes Again. It was just a cool ass thing to see on a new 2017 illustration. Travis Strikes Again. I'm very excited for that. I'm very excited for Shin Megami Tensei. Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is coming out. That game is definitely coming out in the West. They did confirm that later on that night, although it sounded like it was very touch and go about that immediately. But that thing is definitely coming to the West. I think it's funny that Xenoblade Chronicles X is relegated to spin-off territory.
Well, that's good because the first one's better anyway.
Why didn't the Sega guys say we're bringing Sonic Mania to the Switch?
Dude, I don't know.
We're gonna make a game, and then he left.
They didn't announce Mario Kart 8 was coming to the Switch until after the presentation ended.
But like they
just
kind of
showed a video.
Yeah.
But they didn't. We didn't know if it was Mario Kart 8 or 9 in the presentation, and that was a little silly. Yeah. What else was there? There's Octodad 2,
Octopath Traveler.
Octopath Traveler, which is that the Bravely Default team?
I believe
Yes.
so.
At first, my eyes glazed over because I was like, this is like another weird throwback Square Enix JRPG. But when I watched the presentation the second time and I looked at the art style where it looks like Final Fantasy VI, also it's in a 3D world, so it looks like a better realized world of Final Fantasy, but it's new. It looks cooler than it looked the first time I saw that trailer.
How about Street Fighter 2 75?
That's kind of cool, I guess. I
Yeah.
don't know who's going to play that with a sideways controller, though, because that thing is
true.
not built for fighting games.
Yeah.
No.
It's not the most comfortable thing in the world to hold for those kinds of games.
It's going to be for the people who buy pros.
I never talked about how the issues I had with the controller, which I'm going to keep very quick because I know how long the show is already. It's probably going to be like 2 hours long by the end of it. But what I'll say, the two things, I played Mario Kart Battle Mode with the sideways Joy-Con, and I don't know if there's a way to turn off motion control, but it had motion control turned on by default in the demo. So I was racing around and I was like, why is there drift to the side? And it was because I was holding the controller in a way that was slightly to the left or slightly to the right. So that was very uncomfortable. The other thing I will say is that the L and R buttons on the Joy-Cons, especially on the grip, and especially when it's they're way too small. They are so
they look
small.
itty bitty.
They're very small, and they're like slivers, and they're gonna take some getting used to. I'm sure I'll get used to it, but it is like it's a negative thing about that is that there are these digital analog, not analog stick, but these triggers. And then the R2, the ZL, ZR, those aren't like the PS4 and Xbox One where they feel like actual triggers, so they're really comfortable in the hand. They're kind of like 2 generations ago triggers. So they don't slip off the hand, but they feel like they could because they're not that super ergonomic PS4, Xbox One controller feel.
I saw a picture of a Joy-Con controller sideways next to a Game Boy Micro, and it's smaller than a Game Boy Micro.
Yeah, but it is cool how they marketed that, how they basically pitched the Joy-Cons, and then especially the Switch as a whole, as like Perfect Cell from Dragon Ball Z, where it takes all the DNA from other Nintendo systems.
Yeah, that's true.
I do like how it just and the GameCube had a handle.
I know, that was so great.
It was too ahead of its time. Like that's how they tried to push it. Which must have been a tiny bit tongue in cheek, but it was cute. Do we have anything else we need to talk about for the Switch? Because I feel like we might have gone. Was there any super obvious games we forgot? Oh, Puyo Puyo Tetris. I played that. That game's fun as hell. It's Tetris, and then it's Puyo Puyo. And Puyo Puyo is basically just Dr. Mario, but with like a couple
it's Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine, Kirby Avalanche.
But that's what John was using Mean Bean Machine as the example. So
but the people on this show have who are watching this have probably more played Dr. Mario.
But it's not like Dr. Mario.
It's not like Dr. Mario.
It's like Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine and Kirby Avalanche is literally Puyo Puyo with a skin.
Yeah, but also I think you're giving it too little credit.
It's not like Dr. Mario.
If you say it's not like Dr. Mario at all, you're going to be wrong.
It's a puzzle game where blocks fall. So Tetris is
It's the same colors and like not dissimilar. It's beside the point. I think Dr. Mario, he says Mean Bean Machine. You've played one of those games. Imagine it's
But it's not like Dr. Mario.
Back and forth.
Dr. Mario is pretty fun in small bursts.
Okay.
I like Kirby Star Stacker. That was fun.
There's Fast RMX. Cool. Fast RMX. I didn't. And like, what's the Heroes game? I didn't play that one.
Has Been Heroes.
Has Been Heroes. That's the.
I didn't have time to play it. Yeah.
And that's getting a GameStop only physical release.
Oh God.
It's not an Alex kind of game, so I haven't paid like too much attention to it. Yeah. Okay. It's 12:01 a.m. Eastern time. Let's end this show.
I'm excited about the Switch, despite being a little wary of its success.
Woo! Switch! Woo!
There you go. That's the Nintendo Switch talk. I'm excited about the Switch. Donald's excited about the Switch. Neal's excited about the Switch. Zach is excited about the Switch. And as you can tell, I am losing my voice at a dramatic rate.
And video quality.
And video quality, no less. So let's end this show while we still can.
Okay, yes. Kane said, have any guesses for when the next big Switch info dump will be? Somebody go.
February.
Yeah, February.
February 3rd.
Okay.
Oh, shit.
Why not?
That's a good guess. One
That's
month
really
to
soon,
go.
though.
February 7th.
That's basically my guess, but a more specific date. It's okay. We can share it. Yeah. I think we're going to see the Virtual Console stuff in a February Nintendo Direct, and I think they're saving the GameCube stuff for that because that will be a really cool thing they can show in that Direct that'll get people excited. And I'm convinced GameCube stuff is happening.
Dude, what if GameCube stuff doesn't happen?
Here's why I think it's going to happen is not because of rumors, not because of I have this gut feeling, even though, fine, I do have those things. But Reggie, in like one of his interviews, called out the fact that people have been asking for GameCube stuff. He was like some unrelated question. He was like, yeah, and you see these people, they're asking for GameCube games on Virtual Console. And like Nintendo is so careful with their messaging that I don't think he would be the one to bring that up if there weren't plans for it. That's something I think.
I mean,
here's
how I'll fire back to that, is that I don't know if that means anything, because Reggie's still the same guy who wore that Metroid pin.
Yeah.
And like they did announce a new Metroid game for like a fucking year after that.
This is 20% further than that. It's not at 100%,
Yeah.
but it's 20% further at that. Just like how Dr. Mario is...
I mean, Dr. Mario is not like Puyo Puyo.
From being Puyo Puyo.
No.
That's our show. Thank you very much. I'm so happy I'm the host because I can end the show before people disagree with me. Well,
Yep.
after people disagree with me, but before we have a full argument about it, because, man, this is not going to 12:30. Alex Kalafi joined by Neal, Donald, and Zach. ZMiller1902 on Twitter for Zach Miller. Donald Terrio is on Twitter at Donald Mick. DONALDMICK, also NFR Podcast, Nintendo Free Radio. We have Neal on Twitter at Enron10, NRON, the number 10. I'm on Twitter at CULAFIA. Thank you to every single person who was watching or will watch or will hear this on iTunes. We are on iTunes, patreon.com/NWR to support the site you love, the people you love. We have exciting things about the future of Nintendo News Report coming up that we will be able to talk about
We
in the next month.
Sure.
And it involves a certain event that is happening soon after the launch of the Switch.
Okay.
So if you're going to an event that's soon after the launch of the Switch.
It's PAX East. We're going to have panels at PAX East.
Yeah, but not only... Okay, I'm very excited to announce. I'm proud to be the first person to say this on this show, but I'm so excited to announce that not just will we have one panel, our usual Nintendo World Report game show, but the people of Nintendo News Report all four of us will be in Boston. We'll be doing a panel, and it'll be called Wii Eulogy, where we will be paying a romantic tribute to
Not romantic. Romantic.
We'll remember the good times and
Romantic.
forgive for the bad.
The deceased will deliver the eulogy, and those in attendance will have 60 minutes for rebuttal.
Yeah, we got some time to figure this out. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. If you're going to PAX East, please look forward to it. As of now, it is slated for Friday night at 7 p.m. We're gonna talk about it more closer to it. But I'm pretty sure that's.
Then I think we have Nintendo Air. I think the next night at 8:30 p.m.
Nice.
Stay tuned to the Nintendo Report. We'll probably also do like tournaments and stuff.
Bye.
Bring your Switch.
Bye.
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 Bye.